us and sharing that insight. Now we move on to South Korea. South Korea's presidential policy chief has stated that the new investment agreement with the United States will need approval from the National Assembly before it takes effect. He has emphasized that the deal is not expected to cause any immediate shock to domestic foreign exchange markets. Under the agreement, U.S. investments will be financed at each project milestone, and an umbrella special purpose company will be made to oversee these projects. The official has noted that the $20 billion annual investment cap differs from a similar deal the U.S. has with Japan. The fact sheet outlining the agreement is expected within 2 to 3 days, while U.S. Commerce Secretary Lutnick will head the investment committee to evaluate projects in South Korea. The policy chief described the trade deal as a breakthrough for improving the trade for Korean companies. Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo. Thank you very much, Dr. Satoru, for joining us today. Good to see you. Dr. Satoru, now looking at this trade, how significant it will be for South Korea, and what's the difference with the deal that they have signed with Japan and with South Korea?
In case of Japan, the agreement has happened. After that, it has implemented. So only detail how to implement is the matter. In case of South Korea, they agreed in end of July this year. But after that, in the end of September, the South Korea start to say that it is impossible to do that. So that's why just now they need to agree. The amount of the money is, of course, the same, but how to implement, but in this case, a very long-term plan they are taking, because a huge amount of the investment South Korea cannot deal with, but they have already agreed in July, so they cannot say this is right or something problem. So that's why there is a cap that they can pay just now, and after that, in the long-term investments, they will pay something like that. Extending the deadline has happened. So this is completely different between Japan's case and South Korea's case. Japan's case is just detail is matter, but South Korea is can do or not is matter. So that's why completely different. But today, the US and South Korea agreed this. So this means that from now, this is a practical, feasible plan. And so it will really happen, I think.
And how might requiring National Assembly, Korean National Assembly approval affect the timeline and implementation of this new US-South Korea agreement?
Because size is too big, I think. Compared with Japan's one is big, but Japan can deal with. In case of South Korea, this is impossible, South Korea said in the end of September, because size is too big. So they agreed, but the size was too big. After that, they start to say. So that's why that's not fair size when they agreed in July. But once they agreed, it is impossible to change the amount. So that's why the deadline itself will extend it, and step by step they will pay. So in total amount of the money is same, but deadlines extend means that a small amount of money they can prepare and continue to pay. That is possible. And in this case, such kind of the long-term plan, huge money, they cannot do that without support from the parliament, I think.
And lastly, Dr. Satoru, how could this creation of a special purpose company influence transparency and accountability in managing such a big joint investment?
Of course, in case of Japan, Japan has already identified which project they will invest. In this case, the US side want to decide themselves, but the Japan side also involved, Japan said, and they negotiate and decide. So which company takes charge, how much money, this has decided just yesterday. But in case of South Korea, from now they need to talk, I think, so one by one. So of course, some of the projects are already identified, of course, but at the same time, in this case, because of the big, so they need to avoid the corruption case or something like that. That's why the transparency is matter, I think.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru Nagao for joining us and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on to our next news. US President Donald Trump is on Asia trip